flying tomato. The flight attendant began to serve lunch. I nibbled on a cracker. It tasted like cardboard. Next, I tried some blue cheese soup. It was sour. I cut into the raw chicken. It slipped under my knife and landed in my suit pocket. Sauce dribbled down my jacket. Oh, what a horrible flight! First breakfast, now the food. My tummy grumbled in protest. Cheese niblets. I was hungry. Shoved my fork into a small tomato on my plate. It shot away like a rocket, hitting the road across the aisle. He glared at me. I gulped. He was one big mouse. I'm not talking just an extra large. He was an extra, mega, gigantu large. Lucky for me, right then they switched off the lights. The movie started. Everyone stared at the screen. It was a nail-biting thriller. I was glad I had already seen it. I don't like scary movies. I have to watch them with all the lights on. Plus, I like to hug my cheesy the rat doll at the really scary parts. But don't tell my family. They'd never stop picking me on me if they knew I still had cheesy. Decided to take a nap. I was so exhausted. I was half asleep when Bradford began asking me questions about the movie. Why is that mouse making so many cheddar cupcakes? He whined. Is he going to a birthday party? Is he a chef? No, he is not a chef, I answered, absent-mindedly. The cupcakes are filled with poison. He's the murderer. Bradford let out a shriek. He jumped to his paws. Listen up, everybody, he yelled at the top of his lungs. Those are poisoned cupcakes. That mouse is a murderer. The cheese prince sitting beside me just told me. All of the passengers gave me nasty looks. I cringed. Those poison cupcakes were starting to look pretty good. Suddenly, the plane began to shake. All the rodents, kindly fasten your belts, announced the captain. The elderly lady next to me looked worried. There is nothing to worry about, madam, I assured her. It's just a little turbulence. It will all be over soon. She smiled and relaxed. But 10 minutes later, the plane was still rocking. I began to turn green. 1 minute we were up, the next we were down. Did I mention I have a weak stomach? Meanwhile, the elderly lady next to me didn't seem to notice. She began chatting away. I can't wait to get to Shan Sabi Fur Island. I hear they have the best octopus and garlic soup, she squeaked happily. Then again, I think they are known for their early sardine pizzas. By now, my stomach was gurgling up a storm. I felt so sick I could hardly breathe. Please don't mention food again. I want to squeak. But the lady kept rattling on and on. Oh, why was she so obsessed with food? Didn't they feed her down at the Creaky Mouse nursing home? The 8 stages of air sickness. First, distracted look. Second, deathly pallor and cold sweats. Third, stomach cramps. Fourth, rolling eyes, olive green complexion. Fifth, lizard green complexion. Sixth, pistachio green complexion. 7th, monstrous burps. 8th, cheese niblets. My stomach couldn't take it anymore. I groped for the air sickness bag in front of me, but it was missing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Bradford turning it into a paper airplane. I wanted to strangle him, but I didn't have any strength left. Who can lend me a bag? A bag! I'm going to throw up. I shrieked at the top of my voice. Everyone stared at me in a shock. How embarrassing! The flight attendant came running, but unfortunately it was late. When we reached San Shabifor Island, everyone dashed off the plane. I could tell they wanted to get away from me. I did too. It was a stinky mess. Turned the bag into a paper airplane. San Shabifor Island. I headed for baggage claim. On the way there, an enormous baggage handler with bulging muscle ran over my tail with his cart. A lady mouse stomped on my paw with her high heels. Bradford threw a glass of orange juice all over my best suit jacket. I lost the keys to my suitcase. I stopped in the restroom and I dropped the passport into the toilet bowl. It took me a while to fish out my passport. By then, I was ready to cry. So I sat down on the luggage carousel and began to sob like my cousin Wimpy Whiskers. The time he got hit on the head with a wiffle ball, right then the carousel began to move. Slimmy swish rolls. My tail was stuck in the gears. I yanked it out. After 20 minutes, I spotted my suitcase. Then I saw it again and again. Yep, there were 7 suitcases that looked like mine. I had to wrestle my bag away from the lady who insisted that it was hers. At last, I was ready to leave the airport. I held out my passport to customs mouse. It was stinky. Just tell me. I left the airport exhausted. It was already late at night. I was dying to reach my hotel. Outside it was pouring rain. I looked around for the mouse who was supposed to meet me from the Trust Me, You Will Like It travel agency. I spotted a slimy looking rat carrying a sign. Welcome Geronimo Stilton. Trust me, you will like it. I waved him over. Are you Geronimo Stilton? He asked, looking me over. I shook my head. Yes. No. The name is Geronimo. Geronimo Stilton. He stared down at his sign. But it says here, Geronimo, he squeaked. I took a deep breath. I practiced a little meditation exercise I had learned. Remain calm, I chanted under my breath. Do not get upset. They must have gotten it wrong at the agency, I explained in a slow voice. My name is Geronimo. Geronimo. Geronimo, I repeated. The mouse scratched his whiskers. Are you sure? By now I was ready to explode. So much for that meditation class I took last year. Maybe I could get my money back. Moldy mozzarella balls. Of course I'm sure, I screeched. Don't you think my own name? He shrugged his shoulders. If you say so, he muttered. Meanwhile, rain had soaked through my fur. Does it always rain here so hard? I waved him over. Are you Geronimo Stilton? He asked, looking me over. I shook my head. Yes. No. The name is Geronimo. Geronimo Stilton. He stared down at his sign. But it says here, Geronimo. He squeaked. I took a deep breath. I practiced a little meditation exercise I had learned. Remain calm, I chanted under my breath. Do not get upset. They must have gotten it wrong at the agency, I explained in a slow voice. My name is Geronimo. Geronimo. Geronimo, I repeated. The mouse scratched his whiskers. Are you sure? By now I was ready to explode. So much for that meditation class I took last year. Maybe I could get my money back. Moldy mozzarella balls. Of course I'm sure, I screeched. Don't you think my own name? He shrugged his shoulders. If you say so, he muttered. Meanwhile, rain had soaked through my fur. Does it always rain here so hard? The rat from Trust Me You Will Like It travel agency blinked. Didn't they tell you? He snickered. On the island it either pours or it's so hot you can fry your own fur. I put my head in my paws. I knew I shouldn't have trusted my cousin and that slinky rat smoothie. What? The next thing I knew, the rat had brought me to a back parking lot. He pointed to a beat-up old bicycle with a funny-looking cart attached to it. Here you are, he announced. I stared at the strange contraption. What you mean? I stammered. He pulled a piece of paper out of his pocket. It said, You see, this is your personalized transfer, he explained. You need to pedal in person. The Rat Hole Hotel is only 20 miles away. My head began to pound. Steam shot out my ears. I am usually a very reserved rodent, but this was too much. It was time to put my paw down. What? I shrieked so loud. I made myself jump. Are you saying I've got to ride that bike for 20 miles at night alone in the pouring rain, carrying my own luggage? I was growing madder by the minute. Well, there's no way that's going to happen, you mad mousy, I cried. Absolutely no possible way. No ifs, ands, or buts. No can do. Not your own life. Not for all cheddar roll-ups in the world. I totally and completely refuse. Or my name is not Geronimo. Geronimo Stilton. Truly a rat's nest. 10 minutes later, I was pedaling away into the night. I really needed to talk to my therapist about becoming more assertive. The rain pounded down on my head. I choked back tears. My best suit was getting ruined. How would I explain this one to Stretch It? Do you know her? She's the cute mouse who works at my dry cleaners. I started off on the main road but soon found myself on a dirt path. It led into a dark, deep forest. Rat munching rattlesnakes. Things were going from bad to worse. The sky grew darker and darker. I tried to light the way with a tiny flashlight attached to my keyring. It didn't work. I felt my cousin squinty before he got glasses. Everything was pitch black. Suddenly, the bicycle's front wheel hit a stone. The car turned around. My suitcase flew into the air and landed on my tail. Cheese niblets! I squeaked. I knew I shouldn't have trusted them. Right then I heard the sound of faraway music. It gave me hope. Guided by the music, I pedaled for another 15 minutes. Then I reached a clearing in the forest. I noticed a weathered old sign. It read Rat Hole Hotel. Safe at last, I murmured happily. But my happiness didn't last long. I pulled up the hotel. It was a 3-story wooden shack with a collapsed roof and broken windows. At the entrance, a lay doormat full of holes. From the doorknob hung an welcome sign. The W was missing. I stumbled off the bike. I was dizzy from all the exercise. Spots swam before my eyes. Still, one thing was clear to me. The Rat Hole Hotel was definitely a rat hole. The Rat Hole Hotel was definitely a rat hole. Room 313. I parked the bike in front of the entrance. Then I dragged my suitcase up to the door. Why, oh, why had I brought so much stuff? I crawled toward the reception desk, grumbling and groaning. There was no one in sight. I put my paw on the bell and began to ring. I rang and rang and rang furiously for at least 10 minutes. Finally, a plump mouse with thick handlebar whiskers held in place with clothespins sauntered out. He was wearing a brightly striped t-shirt and loud Bermuda shorts. He yawned into my snout and mumbled, Well, yes, I have a reservation here. I squeaked. My name is Stilton, Geronimo Stilton. He scratched his tail. Let's see. Here it says you are Geronimo Stilton, he muttered. Are you sure your name is Geronimo? I gnashed my teeth. My whiskers began to whirl in a rage. Why would no one listen to me? Did they all have cheese in their ears? Of course I'm sure. I ought to know my own name, I exploded. So please take note that my name is Geronimo Stilton, and that I am fed up, and that I am exhausted, that I want to go to my room now, that I want to take a shower, that I want to eat something, and most of all that I want to be called Geronimo. 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 He shot me a look of pity. Whatever, he said with a yawn. Guess it's a good thing you decided to take a vacation. You sure are one stressed out rodent. He grabbed a key and slapped it into my paw. You are on the third floor, he told me, and don't look for the elevator. We doesn't have one. By the way, the restaurant is closed, but as our broker says, you'll find a delicious welcoming snack on your beside table. One smelly cheese rind. I climbed the wooden staircase, lugging my suitcase behind me. It was then that I realized I would be staying in room 313. Holy cheese! Are you superstitious? I'm not really. Well, maybe a little. Okay, maybe a lot. My teeth began to chatter just thinking about the number 13. How unlucky can you get? I reached my door and opened it. I switched on the light and almost fainted. I tried to remember the description of the room in the brochure. How unlucky can you get? Uniquely decorated sea view bathtub with organic hydro massage, own fridge, own television. I looked around. No fridge, no television. Instead, I found a dark, dingy room painted a sickly green. The one window overlooked an open-air disco. Below, hundreds of rodents were dancing wildly to the rhythm of ear-piercing music. I stumbled to the bathroom, clutching my nose. Did I mention the place was smelled? Instead of a bathtub, there was a large rusty metal bucket. This is not happening, I told myself. This is all just a bad dream. I sat down on the warm eaten bed and closed my eyes. Inhale, exhale, I chanted. Yes, I was starting to feel a teeny tiny bit better. 2 minutes later, I heard a loud crack. The bed collapsed under my weight. I opened my eyes. That's when I spotted a plate on my bedside table. It held a piece of stale bread and one smelly cheese rind. A plastic fork with a broken tine was stuck in the rind. The plate had been decorated with a big lettuce leaf. A snail sat in the middle of the leaf, munching away. There was an olive bed next to the leaf. I guess the snail liked olives too. I chewed my whiskers in frustration. Was this the delicious snack? Was this the welcome? Was this a joke? At that moment, I noticed a small greasy card plate. I read it loud. For Mr. Geronimo Stilton, room 313. Geronimo, I squeaked, feeling the blood rush to my fur. Geronimo, Geronimo, I repeated. Paws clenched. Cheese niblets. I threw the window open and stuck my head out. My name is Geronimo, Geronimo Stilton. I screeched. The loud music from the disco stopped. Abruptly, 100 rodents turned to face my window. Who's that mad mouse? I heard one mouse whisper. Must be some kind of wacko. Another squeaked. Too much sun, if you ask me. A third voice added. Ashamed, I closed the window and drew the curtains. What I need is a nice hot shower, I decided. I lathered myself with a soap and turned on the tap. Not a single drop of water came out. I stumbled to the phone to call the lobby. I should have known the line was dead. I stamped my paw in disgust and slipped on the dirty carpet. I knew I shouldn't have trusted them. I groaned. I was too tired to go downstairs to complain. I was too tired to unpack my suitcase. I was too tired to cry. Now there was only one thing left to do. I pulled on a pair of dirty white pajamas I found hanging in the bathroom. Then I threw myself down on the smelly bed and tried to get some sleep. Cockroaches for breakfast. The next morning I woke up exhausted, with the bags under my eyes. Cheese niblets. What a night! I was kept awake by a swarm of fleas in my bed, and noisy disco hadn't shut down until 5 in the morning. I would have loved to sleep late, but I couldn't. At 6 o'clock, I practically flew out of my bed. A construction crew had begun drilling and hammering right under my window. The noise was even worse than the disco music. I headed toward the bathroom without any glasses. I was too tired to put them on. I switched on the light, yawning. How strange! I could have sworn the bathroom tiles were all white, not black. I mumbled to myself. Right then I lay my paw on one of small black tiles. A terrible crunching noise followed. My stomach lurched. Something told me this wasn't a good sign. I ran for my glasses. Didn't I tell you I can't see a thing without them? Back in the bathroom, I discovered a horrifying sight. I had squashed a cockroach. The bathroom was full of them. Giant cockroaches everywhere, on the floor, on the walls, and even on the ceiling. At that very moment, a cockroach fell off the ceiling and landed inside the collar of my pajamas. I crawled all the way down my back. I let out a horrified scream that woke the entire hotel. 10 seconds later, someone banged on the wall. What's going on? I heard a mask ask. Who screamed? Another cried. It's that Stilton again. Geronimo Stilton, someone else answered. I cringed behind the door. How embarrassing. I listened to the crowd gathering in the hallway. They were all talking. Yes, talking about yours truly. Him again? A rodent huffed. Yes, it's that cheese brain who arrived yesterday, a voice grumbled. Ugh, you mean the mouse who wants to be the center of attention? A rodent's mother. Too much sun, if you ask me, someone else muttered. I had stopped screaming, but now I was purple with shame. I can't open my suitcase. I went to look for my toothbrush. Then I remember I had lost the key to my suitcase. I tried all the ways I could think of open the lock. First I inserted a paper clip, then I tried it with a cheese knife. I even tried hammering the lock with the door strap. Still it wouldn't budge. Getting more desperate by a minute, I smashed it against the wall. Nothing happened. I was ready to smash myself against the wall. I needed my stuff. I want to brush my teeth. I want to put a clean pair of underwear. Rats, I squeaked, giving the suitcase a hard kick. It went out flying over the balcony. I scrambled downstairs to get it. It still hadn't opened. I dragged it back to my room. Then I sat down on it and cried. What else could I do? and too cool for my fur. I decided the first thing to do was buy myself a new swimsuit. I went in search of the hotel's gift shop. The store was dark and dusty. A scruffy looking mouse sat with his paw up on the counter. I need a bathing suit, I told him. He pointed to a rack. There was one swimming suit hanging from it. It had purple and yellow stripes with two tacky satin hoods. The tag inside read, "I am too cool for my fur." It was the most hideous thing I have ever seen. Plus, it was 3 sizes too big for me. Do you have something less flashy in a smaller size? I asked the sales clerk. He shook his head. Nope, that's it. Take it or leave it. I blinked. But this one doesn't fit me, I protested. And besides, I don't like it. Well, then don't take it, he mumbled. But I need it, I cried. Well, then take it, he shouted in my ear. I pulled out my wallet to pay for the swimsuit. That's when I saw the price tag. $sign swam before my eyes. Why is this so expensive? I shrieked. It's one of a kind. The sales clerk smirked. You'll make a real fashion statement. I groaned. I'd make a real statement, all right. I'd be the most ridiculous looking rodent on the beach.